Hello, everyone, and welcome to Free Life Chapel, where we help you discover and live the free life in Christ. My name is Debbie, and I am so excited that you decided to join us today. In order to connect with us, we would love for you to drop your comments below or visit our website at freelifechapel.org. Now, sit back, relax. There's an awesome word that is just waiting for you to hear, so check this out.
I'm so glad that we serve a God who takes us out of where we've been and what we've done and can restore. Restore, think about the word. There was a store that got emptied and he filled it full again. That whatever exited your life that needed to be there, he knows how to bring it back in full portion. God doesn't want us to live empty lives. He wants us to live full lives. And that's why Jesus died, so that we would have not just life, but life more abundant. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a reason to be expecting more life than you have ever experienced in your entire life. There is something to achieve. Don't ever just settle and say, well, this is how it is. No. Jesus died for more than you and I to live in mediocrity. He gave everything for you and I to live above and beyond and be the head and not the tail, to lend and not borrow, even in Polk County. All that, we can live that life. We believe that here at Free Life Chapel. The Free Life is equipped with the vision, the statement of this: helping others to discover and live the free life in Christ. Would you say that with me? Helping others to discover and live the free life in Christ. Helping means that we serve others. It's not about us. To discover, that means there's more to life than what sometimes we understand. God's Word continues to open that up. But not just to discover it mentally, but also to live, to experience, to walk in the blessings of the free life. There is a place of freedom. No more living in bondage. No more living stuck, but a free life. But it only comes through Christ. This is not self-help. This is not about something Free Life can produce. This is about Jesus operating in all of us and helping each other as we do life together. This is what I love about Free Life. We are a church that is after seeing people restored, put back together again. How many of you know everybody's got a story? Okay, y'all who didn't raise your hand, you're in church, do not lie to Jesus. How many of you know we all have a story? Can we just say, oh, good, thank you. Yeah, we all have a story. Maybe you're like, well, I don't have a testimony. That's because you're still in your test. But once you come out the other side, it'll be ammonia. So you'll put it all together and it's going to work. We all have a story. He's brought us through some things. If I gave you the chance to share your story, it'd be pretty amazing if you really put it all together. There's some folks that don't have a clue what you've been through. In fact, would you just look at the person? Don't say anything. Look at the warrior sitting beside you right now. They had reason to quit. They had reason to bail. I know you've been married a long time and you think you know their issue. No, it's even more than what they can even tell a spouse. They've been through some stuff and they're still here. Somebody shout, I'm still here. Still being here matters. The fact that you're in church, how many of you cannot believe you're in church? Like 6 months ago, 6 years ago, if someone would have told you you're going to be sitting in church, attending church on a Sunday morning, you would have thought they were smoking crack. Like, I am not believing that. No, like, look where you are. You're in church. You're doing Jesus today. I love this. I love this because he's for all of us. There's a gentleman that attends Free Life Chapel, and his story is pretty amazing. And it's so powerful. I think it's important that we look at and we talk about and we get to hear these stories, because sometimes we'll just hear messages and think, okay, that's great. But when you see lives that have been impacted by the love of Jesus, it does something to us. So you know what? Me too. And so I have asked a gentleman to join me today and share his story, and I think it's going to bring encouragement to you. Would you all help me welcome to the platform Mr. Tony Murray as he comes up today? Tony, there he is. Tony, you a big man. I just noticed all over again. Please have a seat. I'm going to treat him really kind. He's a big man. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Tony, it's so good to have you. And I want to say this from the jump. Thank you for your willingness to open up and share your heart and your story with all of us today. It's you know, a lot of folks can say, yeah, you know, so, but when it's you sitting in the chair telling your story, it's different when you're doing that. And God's done absolute amazing things in your life. And when I began to hear the story, it literally, I learned this story about 3 weeks ago. And as soon as I heard it, tears just like boom hit me. And I could not believe what I was hearing. Because when you see this gentle giant walking through, you think, oh, he's such a teddy bear, so cuddly. No, he's a nice guy for sure, real deal. But ladies and gentlemen, this man has been through some things, and I want him to share, I want us to share today briefly together as to what God has done in his life. So, Tony, you've been at Free Life how long? You and Sheena, by the way, Sheena, Sheena, stand up if you would. All right, so the whole family, AJ, stand up. AJ, come on, AJ, stand up. There you go, boom, that's right there. That's Sheena and AJ. Sheena oversees our Connect 4 program. It used to be called Growth Track Connect 4 now. Some of y'all go, Growth Track, yeah. That oversees all that, been doing that for years. You all been at Free Life for how long now?
Probably about 5 years now.
5 years, yeah. That was about the time we got a real upgrade, so thank you for coming, because y'all brought it with you, sure did. No, that's good stuff. Tony, you've been through some things.
Yeah.
The man that's sitting here in this chair today, things haven't always been this put together in your world. Start letting us know. Did you grow up here? Are you from Lakeland?
Yeah, I'm from here, from Lakeland, Florida. Been here all my life.
All your life, all your life. And so, where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school at Lake Gibson.
Lake Gibson High School. All right. Well, y'all have a good day. Thanks for coming. That's like, we should end right there. I mean, that was so strong. Lake Gibson. Okay, very good. Tony, give us the breakdown because things went sideways in your life. Tell us kind of where things were.
Well, at a young age, probably around about, I'd say around 16, 17, I began to start getting out in the streets, running the streets, and I began to start selling drugs at a young age. Like all of my teenage years and most of my 20s, I kind of got caught up and end up going to jail for selling drugs and got out on probation, and then I end up getting caught again and going to jail, and then they sentenced to me about 40 months in prison.
40 months in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how old were you when that happened?
I had to be maybe, I'll say about 25 when that happened.
25 years old, and you're looking at the judge.
Yeah.
And the judge says 40 years and drops, or 40 months.
No,
40
not
months,
40 years. I wouldn't be here.
I just increased your sentence, bro.
Scared me.
Let me back that up. 40 months. Tony, okay, so when you're in the streets and you're running that world, I mean, you got to kind of be hard, like you're the man, right?
Yeah. That's what I put on as I was hard, but I can remember when I went to the court, and I thought I was going to I had paid off. I was fixing up cars and everything, but when I got in my trouble, I had to end up selling all my cars, everything. I mean, every dollar I had, I spent on a lawyer. And so I ended up going to court, and I was thinking this lawyer was going to get me out of trouble, but when I went to the court, that lawyer didn't even hardly say 2 words. And so the judge sentenced me to 40 months in prison. And I mean, I went to shaking, and I was trying to still kind of hold my composure, but they immediately said I sentenced to 40 months in prison, and the bailiff came in and took me back in the back and put me in a holding cell. And man, I tell you, when they closed that holding cell and left out, I was back there by myself at the time. And I can remember my eyes just flooding with water. And I just was like, Lord, I don't know what I done got myself into. But at that point, I decided that it's better for me to do this time with God than without God.
Okay, so man, you just shared a lot. See, a lot of us have never been to prison. Probably should have been, but we never went to prison. You just didn't get caught, all right? That's all I got to say. Yeah. But I cannot imagine hearing the judge announce 40 months and realizing I'm going to be in a place that it's me against the world. And it's an environment that I don't run, and you don't know what to expect going in. and the loneliness. What goes through your mind when you hear that, Tony? What's that like?
I mean, it's a scary feeling. I mean, I was kind of tough and hard when I was out on the street. At least that's what I put on. But when you get in that place, man, it's just lonely. If everybody just turn their back on you, like it seems like nobody cares for you, and it's just nights on nights on nights that you just lay in the bed and just wondering how I got here and was it worth it?
Wow.
That's what you think about the most. Like I traded all these months in or years in for nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't even have $1 to my name. That's what kind of grips you the most. Like I traded in my freedom for what? And I don't have anything. And I don't have anything when I get out.
Right. That thought is harrowing, Tony, and it can only properly be expressed by someone who's been there, done that. I can only speculate. So where did you go to? Where did they send you to?
Well, I ended up going to Orlando. So they have you there for about 2 months until they figure out what prison they're going to send you to, because they don't usually keep you close by home because of all kind of things people can plan to try to get you out, or so they sent me way up, maybe I think it was Century, Florida. That's like in the Panhandle. Okay. I was kind of like 3 miles from the Alabama line, because when you go to prison, you have to stay in Florida the whole time. So I went to the Panhandle, a place called Century, Florida.
Okay. So you get in they transfer you to the prison there. What was that like? Was there any spiritual influence? What was going on there? Because you talked about how you realize you start praying immediately. When you're there.
Yeah, immediately I began to pray. I gave my life to the Lord, and
you know what? We gotta stop there, ladies and gentlemen. Please do not push back when we hear, a prisoner, all of a sudden, of course they gave their life to Jesus. Of course they started praying. You would start praying too if you got locked up.
Oh, yeah.
Can I tell you right now? Oh, sure, they're praying. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the most important conversation you can have after you hear the door slam behind you. You better reach to Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
And thank God you knew you could reach to Jesus, Tony.
Right.
So who told you about Jesus?
My grandmother.
Oh, grandmama. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, she taught me about Jesus. But immediately, like when I went in, I gave my life to the Lord, and I began to join church service. We were having some church service because they usually come in every other Sunday. But I began to lead worship in the prison. I began to see God move right in my life, right in prison. I mean, God gave me favor, gave me a job in prison, outside of the prison. I think I had one of the best jobs in prison, because I ended up going to a prison, and I was at it was where a lot of lifers was at. People had life, and then I got transferred from that prison to it was like a low facility where if you don't have a lifetime, a lot of time they put you in this prison where everybody there get out within 2 years. So it's probably about 100 people at that prison. Okay. So I could see God's hand moving on me, because the prison that they sent me to, I mean, it was probably 60 or 70% of the people in that prison had life in prison. And when I went there, man, my mind was really blown away. Like, man, how am I around? They sent me to this prison around all these lifers, and I remember the guy that was in my room, he had life in prison. And I remember him telling me that he was convicted for killing his wife and child. And I could tell you, man, that was like, that first night in there, man, I felt so weird being in there with that guy. Because here I am, I'm just in for selling drugs, but which not saying that it's better, but man, for me to be in a prison in a room with a guy that said he had life in prison for killing his wife and kid, and he say he didn't do it, but still, that was just.
Yeah, I know, no. Listen, I got chills right now. So you're in the Panhandle. You're there, and did you finish out your sentence?
Yeah, I finished out my sentence. I ended up doing maybe 2.5 years, but within 2 years, because of good behavior, they transferred me here to Bartow, and I went to a work release.
Okay.
In Bartow, and then I think a storm came through that year, and so they had to end up transferring me to because anytime you're in a work release place, the work release is where you go to work. You can catch the city bus and you go get a job somewhere, and they trust you to go to the job and come back at a certain time.
I got you.
But the storms came in that year, and so they end up transferring me to Polk until
Okay.
the storm passed away, because the storm kind of tore up the BART to work release.
I got so Polk
facilities.
Correctional Institute.
Polk Correctional.
Okay,
and
I
I was
got you.
there for probably about 3 weeks.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good, very good. Wow. So Tony, you make it through that. You come out. You finish your time. You come out. What was that like coming out?
It was a wonderful feeling when I came out, but when I got out, I ended up going right back out in the streets again. And I kind of saved up maybe a couple $1,000s while I was in prison. Came home, all my friends was just lined up waiting to see me, and I can just remember like it coming and picking me up, and I'm like, man, what am I doing? You know,
Right, because you were. I mean, you were really truly having a spiritual experience with God
Right,
in
right.
prison, leading worship, a part of all that,
yeah.
Bible studies.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're out, but the people who met you was not the church, but your boys.
That's right.
From the past. The
that's
past
right.
showed up.
Right, right.
That family, that familiarity,
Right.
that positive. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard that from a lot of men and women who have gotten out of prison, that the first ones waiting on them were
yeah.
those from the past.
Oh yeah. And it just, I haven't seen them in a while. You're being locked up. You just feel like you're happy and excited about being out, but then you just seem like you just want to do something. You want to get involved in something. And so it just started back kind of clubbing and partying again. I just found myself right back out in the streets doing the same thing all over again.
Because when you come out, so like where do you apply for a job? How do you get a job? Because you got to put down that you're a felon,
That's
right?
That's
So
right.
so
and
what's that?
And yeah, I experienced that, looking for jobs. No one wanted to give me a job. Like, and I kind of just got discouraged about life itself. Like, man, does this God thing work? Lord, you hear me praying to you, and and you're not opening no doors that keep bringing my past up. So that can kind of like wear on you.
Of course.
Yeah.
So you're in the streets. You're back kind of doing what you were doing before, and because you kind of hit dead end. That was what you were doing, trying to find your dignity and finances for living.
Right.
So I got to ask this, because all the ladies are wanting to know, how did you meet Sheena?
Shout out to my beautiful wife.
There you go. There you go.
I hope she don't be mad with me sharing this, but I remember I just got out of prison too. Maybe 3 months in, I had just got out of prison, and I was riding down the road, and someone pulled right beside me in the car, and I looked over to my right, and she took her hand and told me to pull over. And, all right, now you in church. You in church.
Okay. You know what's crazy? Cindy did the same thing to me. It's the craziest thing, man. So Sheena pulled up beside you. She go, hi, and she has you pull over, and so like.
And so when I pulled over behind her and got out the car, and I walked up to the car, and she was like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, what's up? And so. But I was a little
I need
leery.
your digits right now. That's what I need.
I was a little lyric. I was like, man, something must be wrong with her. Like, I ain't never had no woman tell me to pull over. So I'm just checking and make sure she got all her legs and everything.
Yeah. But let me tell you, all I know is you did pull over, didn't
yeah.
you?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Wow.
yeah. So it took me maybe about 2 weeks before I even called, I believe.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And so we ended up conversating, and then we just took off from there.
I got you. So you're dating, and you're still kind of running the old lifestyle.
Running the old lifestyle, yeah. And so I had a job. I ended up working with my dad. My dad had his own little construction business, but it was just, work here and there. But she didn't know I was selling drugs at the time. And so I was kind of working with my dad during the day, and at nighttime I was selling drugs and stuff. So, but she found out, and I mean, she was kind of against it. I think we kind of split up for a little bit, maybe about a week or so, because she found out what I was doing. And so she let me know how she felt about it. And at that moment, for the first time, I realized I had somebody in my life that cared about what I was doing. Because all of the girls that I've been with before, they didn't care. And believe it or not, she became my support system. Like I finally realized, like I got something to live for. I had a son at the time, and so, you know, my life began to change. I realized that I need to turn my life over.
Wow, wow. So Tony, how did you move forward then to where you made the change and Jesus, like you surrendered your life and now you're in church and really pursuing? How did that transition
Well,
happen?
it's just I almost end up going back to prison. Almost got caught again, but God had gave me a dream and showed me what was going to happen. Even though I didn't pay attention, take heed to the dream. But a house got kicked in that God showed me in my dream that this house was going to get kicked in. And I end up telling my friend about, hey, I had this dream about the house that we was working out. I was going to get kicked in. And he was like, okay, man, we need to stop coming to this house. So I stayed away for 2 weeks. And then I was missing money, so I ended up going back to that house again. And God gave me the dream that the house that I was inside the house. And my phone rang, and I went outside to talk on the phone. And while I was outside talking on the phone, the narcotics rushed the house. And so that was in my dream. And so I stayed away for about 2 weeks. I ended up going over there. I told my friend I was going to come over so I can take care of my business. And then on my way to his house, a guy called me who owed me some money. I haven't seen. Me and my brother was in the car. And on my way to his house, a guy called me and said, hey, I got your money that I owe you. So I was 3 miles away from that house, and I turned my car around to go pick up my money. And my brother who was in the car was so mad at me. He was fussing at me because we was almost there. And so when I went and picked up my money and back en route to the house, the next door neighbor called me and said that they just kicked the house in. And so my friend got caught, and he ended up getting 35 years in prison. And so, man, immediately, man, I just turned my life over. I was like, God had showed me, he warned me in a dream, and then not only did he warn me, I didn't take heed to the warning, but he spared me.
How are you glad that God will speak to us and communicate with us and get our attention? Come on. Watch. Tony was running drugs, and God was still talking to him. God was still reaching. Can I tell you that God is wanting to talk to every single one of us in this room? He's trying to show us and lead and guide our lives. So, okay, Tony, that would get my attention also when the house gets kicked in and you've already had the dream about this whole deal. How does this move forward then? So you like, okay, I need to get this Jesus thing serious.
Yeah, I just end up after that, I realized that God had gave me another chance, and I just turned my life over. I remember coming home telling my wife that I was done. Like, you know, we need to start going to church. And she was already like just, you know, to that place where she'd been wanting to serve God even when I met her, but I was just kind of holding us back. Yeah. But when that happened, I just changed my life over. And things began to just open up for me.
Tony, that's powerful. Today, you're a business owner. Mm-hmm. You're looking to expand your business.
Yes, I am.
You've got a beautiful wife.
Yes, I do.
You got a good-looking son who plays the drums up here on Sundays.
Straight A's, and he's a straight A student.
Straight A student. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, AJ. I love all of that. Tony, no one that sees you sitting here would ever know you had a past like that. Mm-hmm. This is living proof that God is on the move. There's nothing that he can't do. Faith rise up. Faith rise up. That right there you are, Tony, a living, breathing example. Now, Tony, you shared something with me in addition to this of what happened during prayer week 1 year ago in this building. Right. I want you to share this, and ladies and gentlemen, do not miss this. If you've missed everything that he just shared, which is, I need you to hear this. This is powerful, how God brings it all around. Talk to us about what happened. We're having prayer week, by the way. So in the fall of every year, we have 1 week of prayer, 6 to 7 o'clock, and we meet in here. Tony and his wife, they all come in. They sit over here. We sing a couple songs, have a brief devotional, and then we break up to start walking through the room and praying. Tony was here that night. Something happened.
I forgot to mention that I was shot as well. I got shot in both of my legs and in my hand. And so there's two guys. I went to church one day, and my brother had just got shot previously, and he asked me to come to church with him. And I went to church, and I got out of church immediately after church, went to go check on my car on a Sunday. and I saw the two guys that were connected with who shot my brother in his neck. And so I saw the two guys and got into an altercation with them. One of the younger brothers, it was two brothers, went to his car, and he gave his brother the gun, and one of the guys shot me. His brother shot me in my leg, and then I fell behind the car. He came around the car and pointed the gun at my head and said, "I ought to kill you." Then he shot me again in my leg. And so it went in my one leg and came out and broke this leg. And so they ran off. And so a couple years ago, the brother, and by the way, the younger brother kicked me. I mean, I was more angry with the guy who kicked me more than anything. But he kicked me twice. And so
you shot laying on the ground, and he's kicking you.
And he kicked me.
All
and
right.
Oh, man, like I said, I was more angry with him than the one that shot me. But 2 years ago, we were having prayer service, and I hadn't seen these guys maybe. I saw one of the guys one time recently, but hadn't seen these guys in probably 15, 20 years. And we was having prayer service 2 years ago, and the guy who kicked me came to church here. And so, yeah, that's how I was feeling. And so I remember being in here, and I saw him, and I was like, man, what is he doing at my church? And I was really kind of angry the whole time. I couldn't even focus on prayer. And so I was just kept thinking about that kick. And then maybe 2 days I came back again, he wasn't there. And another day he showed up again. And that feeling all over again, like I just kept rehearsing in my mind, man, why is he at my church? And so that week passed, the end of that week, which was when Sunday came about, I was, church was out, and I was at the lobby right by the door, and I saw him come out these doors right here. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I kind of braced myself like, man, what you looking at? Kind of like, and so he started walking towards me. And I'm saying to myself, like, Lord, why is he walking towards me? Why is he walking towards me? And so
this is the guy who kicked you while you had been shot 3 times. He
went and got the gun and kicked me. And
Yeah.
so while I was standing by the lobby, he came up to me, and he stuck his hand out towards me. He said, I made a lot of mistakes in life, man. He said, and did a lot of dumb things. And he said, man, I just want you to forgive me. And so I kind of looked at his hand and looked at him, and I grabbed his hand and shook his hand, but he grabbed my hand and pulled me towards him, and he hugged me. And immediately, man, when I was kind of reluctant, but when he hugged me, I felt the sincerity in his hug. And it's like immediately, like forgiveness just came upon me.
This is happening in the lobby of Free Life Chapel. It's not in here, it's out there. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
This is after a service?
Yeah, after the service.
So
same week of prayer week. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't like anything that happened in here. It's like, it wasn't until you got out there and something starts happening.
Right,
okay?
right.
Until you leave the property, it's wide open territory for your life change. You understand? Could be in the parking lot for crying out. So so you guys are out there hugging the guy who's kicking you on the ground, and now you're hugging and you told me just what that release, that
Yeah, I felt released.
that's powerful.
And then the very next Sunday, I came to church, and when service was out, I went over to Winn-Dixie to get a few items. And when I walked in Winn-Dixie, I saw the brother that shot me. And I'm like, Lord, what is you doing? And so immediately I'm like, what is he doing here in my Winn-Dixie?
My church and my Winn-Dixie. Oh, Winn-Dixie owes us some money for this one. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
And so I can hear God telling me to forgive him. And I'm walking down the aisles like, I'm not finna forgive. He hasn't asked for forgiveness. Why should I go to him and forgive him? And so as I was just walking back and forth, and finally I walked up to him, and I got in the line behind him, and he looked back at me, and he was kind of startled. And so he kept looking back, and I'm standing there just trying to build up my nerves to say something. And then I went to him, I tapped him on the shoulder, I said, hey man. He's like, what's up? And I was like, man, I just want to let you know that I forgive you. And he said, okay. And then I stuck my hand out, and he grabbed my hand, and the same way his brother pulled me towards him, I pulled him towards me, and I hugged him.
I'm done. I'm sorry, I've heard this story 3 times and I still cannot register that. The dude who shot you 3 times, and God had done such a work in your heart the week before. And now here you are reaching and extending and pulling the guy in and forgiving and releasing it. Tony, there's so many people that have been hurt in the past by some legitimate violations and still carrying that heaviness and that anger and that bitterness. That forgiveness flowing in your heart is such a God thing. That's a miracle, bro. That is a miracle that you can reach and extend forgiveness without him even asking to be forgiven. You completely released yourself and him at the same time. That is outrageous. Tony, your story is powerful, and the fact that you sat here today and you shared it with everybody and it's on camera and all those watching online, the Bible says in Revelation that we're made overcomers by the blood of the Lamb, everything Jesus did, and by the word of our testimony. The fact that you could share today everything that you've been through puts you on top and over those things. Never will they hold you hostage again. No anger or no bitterness, no past, no reputation. We love you. We honor you. We celebrate you. I love your spirit. I love your heart, your family. Ladies and gentlemen, would you help me celebrate with this man what God has done in his life?